Good morning, everyone. As Randy said, the title of my presentation is TxDOT and ProjectWise, where we are and where we are heading. And I am going to talk about ProjectWise, but we actually have two software packages that will roll out in the coming year, ProjectWise and a new version of MicroStation and GeoPack. And during this session, I'm going to talk about both of those packages, MicroStation and GeoPack in the 3D design initiative, and ProjectWise and its collaboration and file management capability for engineers. And you will hear more about these two solutions later on in this session from the TxDOT team and the Bentley team as well. So, MicroStation and GeoPack in 3D design. Let me start with that. Yesterday in the design session, many of you heard Mr. Derek Gray of Bentley talk about the return on investment or the ROI of 3D design. He mentioned four things: design time visualization, benefits to operations and maintenance, automated machine guidance, and he mentioned public involvement through visualization. And those are the returns on investment that the new version of MicroStation and GeoPack will begin to allow us to do. And TxDOT will begin to use these 3D design tools in our design workflows for the first time in order to achieve those benefits. So 3D design tools. Where are we? Where are we heading? So where are we? Currently we have a 2D workflow. We design our projects on a plane. We create a horizontal alignment, a roadway geometry, and a 2D plan view. We create vertical alignments in a 2D profile view. And we plug in the super elevation parameters via shapes in a plan view. And then we cut cross-section using all those parameters. And cross-sections are just a 2D elevation view of the roadway, and usually every 100 feet, 50 feet if we're lucky. So the product of all those parameters is a 2D set of paper plans. So basically we work in a 2D paper set and we produce 2D plans. And so plan sheets are basically reviewed or created and reviewed, more or less one page at a time. And so what are the drawbacks of the 2D plans? Well, for one, design errors are easily missed by designers and reviewers. You just can't see the busts, conflicts, and errors that are there in a 2D only view. And two, communication to the stakeholders is problematic. Trying to communicate our intentions to the public with just a schematic roll plot and typical sections is quite a challenge. So where are we headed with 3D design? So the first answer to that is design time visualization. As Derek said yesterday, we're going to use parametric design to create our 3D models. All of the parameters mentioned above, horizontal alignments, roadway geometry, vertical alignments, super elevation, and cross-sections will more or less be created in a similar manner as we do currently. Many of the workflows will remain the same, and in that sense, it will still be a 2D workflow. But the product will be a 3D model that the designers can visualize and review in real time. So what are the benefits of the 3D model and design time visualization? So the 3D model will allow for easier review of design alternatives and scenarios. You change one of your 2D design elements, and then you can visualize it in a moment in a 3D view. It'll make it possible to spot and resolve errors and omissions and clashes earlier in the process. And overall, 3D design will improve our decision-making process, communication, and design quality by allowing all of the stakeholders, both internal and external, to see the design in 3D. And some of the other benefits, as Derek mentioned yesterday, are to operations and maintenance, automated machine control, and public involvement through visualization. So in operations and maintenance, for example, a contractor with a model may better plan operations involving multiple cranes to hang bridge beams, for example. A pavement engineer can better manage the pavement in the districts. And to use Derek's example yesterday, a maintenance engineer or designer could plan for the movement of a large truck carrying or towing a large load, checking for low clearance of bridges, and checking the horizontal clearance in the route. In automated machine guidance, the benefits are very clear. The contractor will no longer have to create a 3D model from our 2D plans in order to use their machine guidance. We will provide a model, and this benefit is quantifiable. And that model will be ours, and it will be something that we can inspect, because the model that the contractor creates are subject to their interpretation of the 2D plans. So we will get a product that we want and not subject to the contractor's interpretation of our 2D plans to plug into their machine guidance systems. And last, there's the public involvement through visualization. When applicable, we will have the capability to convert complex information into a visualization that is easy to understand by the public. So these benefits that I mentioned will inevitably result in better estimates by our designers and better bids from our contractors, and will result in a better product for the state. Okay, so that's 3D design. So let's now kind of move on to ProjectWise. And I want to discuss the same thing with ProjectWise, which is basically where we are now, what is our current situation, and where are we heading with ProjectWise, and why do we think it's a good fit. So where are we now? Right now our file system has several pain points. We have network drive constraints, we are burdened by repetitive work, and we have data silos in our design process. So I'm going to touch on each of these points, and for each point I'm going to first talk about where we are, and then we're going to talk about where we are headed. So the first point, the network drive constraints. What is our current condition there? Well, for one, we have limited shared drive space. For those of us that work in the divisions, we get pop-ups, network pop-ups on a daily basis telling us, that we're running out of drive space. And two, we have no unified version control method. Files are often open, moved, and changed by many users, and it's easy to lose track of what copy is the most up-to-date, which leads to bad file integrity practices. And last, we have no remote file access from locations other than our desktop computer. If you are visiting another district or out in the field, you don't have ready access to your engineering files. And if you want to share your engineering files for whatever reason, you have to email them or Dropbox them. So how can ProjectWise help here? File centralization through ProjectWise will address our network drive constraints. Files are stored in a large centralized location, which will resolve our storage space constraints. And with ProjectWise, there is a single version of the file, no copies. All of the designers and disciplines are pulling and referencing the necessary files from a single source, which will streamline the design process. So files are checked out and back in, maintaining the integrity and version of the files at all times. And these files will be accessible from many devices in different locations outside of your desktop. And this will allow for continuity of work no matter where you are, at work on your PC, at another district on a laptop, or even at home. Oops. Okay, so I think the slides kind of got out of order here. So, all right, so we're also suffering from a lack of standardization. You have many disciplines and designers doing things in a different way, which leads to a repetition of work. Additionally, contractors receive different styles of products depending on which design team or which office worked on the project, which leads to no standard product for contractors for letting. ProjectWise will help resolve these with its standardization capabilities. Workspaces in MicroStation, for example, will be managed in ProjectWise. This will include drawing standards, line styles, level symbology, and many other things, and this will reduce the amount of repetitive work that we do. Additionally, TxDOT can begin to put out a standard product to the contractors for letting, which will lead inevitably, again, to better bids. So, and last and most important is the collaboration aspect of ProjectWise. And this, the last pain point, is the data silos that are created by the lack of real-time collaboration. Different file standards exist across locations, districts, and disciplines. Valuable time is wasted searching for the files, the right version, the right standard, etc. With ProjectWise, management of project files across locations and teams will be achievable because all designers from many locations and disciplines will all be referencing from a single source. So what's next? What can we expect? Okay, so for both software packages, we plan to begin with a pilot phase. For 3D design, we have selected several pilot projects from around the state, and the designers working on these projects will represent early adopters for their areas. Corpus Christi, Beaumont, Lubbock, Houston, San Antonio, Wichita Falls, sorry about that, and Childress have all agreed to participate in the pilot. And for ProjectWise, we plan to begin a dry run later this year, and Austin District has agreed to help us out there. So concurrent with the pilots, we will begin rollout and training of both packages early next year. For the new MicroStation and GeoPack, the rollouts will start here in Austin, and from there we will head south and roll out across the state in a clockwise manner. And it will take about a year. The training will run concurrent with the rollout, and it will be a mixture of live distance learning, on-site training, and on-demand training. ProjectWise will follow a similar path, but will lag a couple of months behind MicroStation and GeoPack. So in summary, what do these two software packages bring us? 3D modeling will improve design quality and decision making, which will lead to reduced construction costs. And it will have added benefits to operations, machine control, and external visualization. ProjectWise will help alleviate several major pain points in our current network file management system. And most importantly, it will enable cross-team collaboration. And again, these two software packages and training will begin rollout around the new year. Thank you.